Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with a trade mailbag. But first, today's show is presented to you by Aura, an all-in-one digital safety company that keeps your wallet and your identity secure while you are online. Plus, they got a 14-day free trial for you guys over at aura.com/chatsports. We'll tell you more about their awesome features later on in the show. But speaking of the show, we got a trade mailbag on deck for everyone today. So the way this show works is we put a community post out saying, hey, comment your best trade ideas, get them on the show, we will react to them and figure out how realistic they are. Because let's be honest, trades are fun. Trades are almost 85, 80, 97% of the time unrealistic, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun doing it. Now, if you hate the Falcons, which I'm assuming all of you guys watching do, make sure you subscribe, but don't just stop there. Turn your notifications on, comment all, and you'll be getting a shout-out. Plus, for everyone that did this during our last video, we'll be giving you guys shout-outs at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But let's jump into our first trade idea. It comes in from Cam Armstrong, who suggests Jermaine Eluemunor, who is a young guard on the Raiders, and Kenyan Drake for Tre'Quan Smith and Bradley Roby or a few picks. Yay or nay? So let's just go with the players right now. Kind of an easy player swap here. The Raiders pick up Tre'Quan Smith and Bradley Roby. They could do some help at those two positions, right? As for New Orleans, Eluemenor to help out on the offensive line, and Kenyan Drake. Drake's the eye popper right there because you don't have much confidence in the running back position right now with a bit of a limbo status with Kamara. Now, let's take a deeper dive at Eluemenor and what he's done for Vegas so far. The Raiders re-signed him this offseason. He played with New Orleans for a couple years beforehand, and he's versatile, which you like to see, you know, especially because you're not looking necessarily for a starter, so to speak, but you're looking for someone where if you have an injury, if you need to make an adjustment, you can plug him and move him around the offensive line. So I'm intrigued by the idea of going after an offensive lineman. I'm not very intrigued about trading away Bradley Roby. That's not something I'm jumping up and down to do. Kenyan Drake could be nice to have come your way, especially if you don't have AK for a couple of weeks or weeks. But Drake stepping in. Saints have a bit of a need right now. Now, we don't really know how likely Drake is to get traded. I don't think Josh McDaniels, in his second head coaching stint right now, is going to arrive to a new city. And the first thing he wants to do is sit down with his GM and go, hey, let's talk about trading away some of our more talented players. Doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense to me. So if you guys were, playing Madden right now, and this was the trade that came across to you, who would say no? The Saints or the Raiders? It's a decently balanced trade. We didn't talk a ton about Tre'Quan Smith in this because you got 4 players to break down here. But I'm curious, which team would say no to this trade? Jeremy Gates with our next trade, who suggests, how about this? All right, back to Tre'Quan Smith and a 4th-round pick to Vegas for Josh Jacobs. Interesting idea. Okay, again, moving on from Tre'Quan Smith and trying to pick up a running back. We're going to break down that trade idea in more detail in just a second. But Aura's got some awesome benefits for Who Dat Nation. From financial fraud protection to identity theft protection, online device security, plus if you've got some young ones in your family who may borrow your phone from time to time to do God knows what on your iPhone or iPad and then let your password out for all the hacksters to get, Aura's going to keep you covered. Start that 14-day free trial over at aura.com/chatsports. I've got that link for everyone in the comments and the description. Super simple. Click on it. Dip your toe in the water. Figure out this is for you. But start that 14-day free trial over at aura.com/chatsports. So let's get back to Jeremy's trade idea, where the Saints get Josh Jacobs and the Raiders receive Tre'Quan Smith and a future 4th. So the big name here is Josh Jacobs. Now, the Raiders did not pick up his 5th-year option. Again, I go back to what I said a moment ago. Is Vegas in a spot where they want to start shipping out talent? I don't think so. Now, I don't have a ton of faith in Mark Ingram. When he came over from Houston last year, I felt that was a fun, nostalgic move. I don't know if that was a good move on paper necessarily to get the best results possible. Now, Jacobs has been, well, if you have him in fantasy football, you've been frustrated with him at times. I say this from experience. But 872 yards last season, found the end zone 9 times, averaged 4 yards a pop. Listen, Tre'Quan Smith, we know, has become quite popular in NFL trade rumors. When you go draft a wide receiver like Chris Olave, when you move up for starters to get Chris Olave, there's a lot of belief in him, okay? You have Callaway. You're hopefully going to get Mike Thomas back, and he's going to be going 100% soon. So, plus, Jarvis Landry comes over in free agency. Tre'Quan Smith might be getting pushed out a little bit. Why don't you try and get something for him if he's going to ride the bench the whole season anyway? But I'm also not opposed to keeping some depth because raise your hand if you can confidently say Mike Thomas will play all 17 games this year. Yeah, I didn't think so. Now, who do you guys want to trade Tre'Quan Smith, all right? T for trade or K for keep? Let me know what you would do, right? If you were the GM, how would you handle this situation with Tre'Quan? Let's move on to our next trade idea. It comes in from Richard. Okay, if you want to get crazy, oh boy, Richard, you sound like you're fun at parties. How about Darius Leonard for Bradley Roby and a second? Richard, I don't know what you're drinking at parties, but keep drinking it. Ain't going to happen, but I like the idea, at least what you're shooting for. If you're New Orleans, if you're any team, you'd be thrilled to get Darius Leonard. He is the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL right now, and I don't think there's much of it's Moneyball. It's Darius Leonard, 50 feet of crap, and then it's the next guy. Now, the Colts are not interested in moving on from Darius Leonard. That's just not something that they would even entertain the conversation of. I'm guessing it would literally cost 2 first-round picks for Darius Leonard, and even then they would go, why? Well, why would you want to give away 2 first-round picks for a position that's kind of losing its value? Now, he was awesome last year for the Colts. I say off-ball. He's all over the ball, too. I mean, he is the best linebacker, like I said, in the NFL. This would be a fun trade to maybe try and pull off in theory, but it ain't going to happen for a variety of reasons. Maybe the biggest reason of all would be the guy's not cheap. The Colts gave him a big 5-year, almost $100 million extension about a year ago right now. So they're not looking to move on from the leader of their defense. Honestly, maybe even with the face of this team outside of Matt Ryan. I mean, Darius Leonard is the heart and soul of the Colts. I wish you the best, Richard, in dreaming this will happen. But who do you want the Saints to trade for? Darius Leonard ain't coming over to New Orleans, but maybe it's someone else, right? I could see a running back being attainable for New Orleans if they are really worried about Kamara's availability in the early stages of 2022. Joe Dog with this here. I could see the Saints winning 13-plus games with Kareem Hunt. Joe, my only kind of pushback I'll give is, can a running back really in this day and age step in and turn a team around? Not that the Saints need turning around, but are they a running back away from winning 13 games? I don't think so. Now, if you look at Cleveland's running back room here, Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson could both be traded. They have Nick Chubb. They drafted a running back in the 5th round. They drafted a running back last year, too. They're pretty loaded. I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns go, hey, we lost a bunch of assets to get Deshaun Watson. Let's try to recoup some of those by trading one of our running backs away. Even though he's great, we need a future pick more than we need a third-string running back. Kareem Hunt last season, he dealt with the knee injury for most of the year, so it limited him greatly. But when he was out there, the highlights speak for themselves. 100 touches, found the end zone 5 times, 386 yards on the ground, 174 through the air. He was magnificent for the Browns when healthy. That's just been a bit of an issue lately is when he's healthy, right? Started his career in Kansas City, deals with a suspension, comes to the Browns, has a healthy season, but last year that knee injury bothered him, caused him to miss over half the year. So I think trading for Kareem Hunt could be done. I just don't think that's the missing puzzle piece to a 13-win season. All right, let's wrap up the show with some shout-outs here. Oh, we got one more. I got ahead of myself. But shout-out to our Noti gang here. Gajel, I hope I pronounced that right. Do Good, Go Tigers. Mark, Christopher, Wanda, Richard, Miss Blue Eyes, Jake, Troy. Appreciate all of you guys for having your noties on, being a part of the Noti gang. And hey, if you're watching this right now and you want to be on a future Saints Now video, turn those notifications on to get a shout out. All right, did it not mean to curve Dr. Martin, it's a doctor, so pay your respects, Matthew, Dr. Martin Gray out of the show. I enjoy all the Saints content. The Who Dat Nation is really buzzing. I would not be mad at the Saints traded for a high-value linebacker. However, I would love a trade for Saquon Barkley or Kareem Hunt. Saints have explosive wide receivers, but we need to address running back and tight end and then come back to the defense accordingly. The big question mark is Kamara. You know what I mean? We don't know what his availability will be like in 2022. He had the incident in Vegas after the Pro Bowl, or during the Pro Bowl actually, and now you are stuck wondering, hey, is this going to be a player we'll have for the entire season? Or if not, how many games will we be without him? Because he is a huge staple of this offense. Tight end room in New Orleans, it ain't pretty. I love to see Nick Vannett take a nice step forward this year. I think he's one of those sleeper candidates that Saints fans know he has it in him potentially to make another leap forward. Not to Jimmy Graham level, but hopefully to a respectable tight end one level. So I'm going to keep an eye on him over there. Now, as for Saquon Barkley, I don't believe the Giants are looking to ship off their running back, their star running back. He tore his ACL 2 years ago. Last season, he returned, but he really didn't look the same. And he dealt with an injury, an ankle injury, on and off throughout the season. Never really looked like the NFL Rookie of the Year he was back in 2018. But I do think the Giants would probably pick up the phone for a Barkley trade. I don't think they're the ones going to be initiating a Saquon Barkley trade. If they were, probably would have happened before the draft. But I think we had a good question from our doctor friend about the bigger need. What do you think it is? Running back or tight end? I'm going to go with tight end still, but that can change quickly if the rule book is really thrown at Kamara and all of a sudden we're watching a Mark Ingram show for 6 to 8 weeks. That's not a good movie. I would not watch that. So then I would probably pivot to running back. Let me know what you're thinking down below.